Welcome back to Story After Midnight, where the darkness never sleeps. I'm your storyteller, guiding you through the world's most terrifying and mysterious true encounters. From haunted homes to ghostly sightings to strange and unexplained phenomena, I bring you the spine-chilling stories that will make you question what you thought you knew. In tonight's episode, we dive deep into the eerie and unsettling world of real-life ghost encounters. These are stories from those who have unknowingly brushed up against the supernatural and lived to tell the tale. So find a quiet spot, dim the lights, and make sure you're alone, because the shadows might be closer than you think. Who knows what's lurking, watching, and waiting to make its presence known? Now let's step into the unknown. The darkness awaits us.
There's someone living in my attic. I live alone. That's the first thing you need to understand. It's a small house, not remote, not ancient, not some crumbling Victorian nightmare. Just a modest two-bedroom home on the edge of town, built in the 80s. Nothing fancy. I moved in 2 years ago after a breakup, mostly for the peace and quiet, and it was peaceful until about a month ago. At first, it was small things. Unlocked windows I swore I'd locked, lights left on when I was sure I'd turned them off. The kind of stuff you chalk up to forgetfulness when you live alone. You try not to feel paranoid. You laugh it off. But then came the footsteps. Every night, around 1:30 a.m., I'd hear them. Slow, deliberate steps above me. My ceiling creaks sometimes when the wind hits right, but these weren't creaks. These were the unmistakable rhythmic thuds of someone walking above me in the attic. The first night I heard them, I froze. The kind of fear that doesn't let you move. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, holding my breath so I wouldn't make a sound. The steps went on for maybe 30 seconds. Then silence. The next morning, I grabbed a broom and climbed up to the attic hatch in the hallway, pushed it open, poked the broom around. Nothing. I didn't go up, not that day or the next. But the footsteps kept coming. Every night, same time, same slow pacing, like someone was waiting up there. I started recording the sound on my phone just to prove I wasn't losing it. The recordings were faint, but they were there. Something was up there. So, a week in, I finally worked up the courage to climb into the attic. I went during the day, thinking it'd be less scary somehow. I grabbed my flashlight and pulled myself up. Dust. Cobwebs. Insulation fluff, the usual. Except for one thing. There was a mattress, an old stained twin mattress in the far corner, almost buried under a pile of old blankets. Next to it was a plastic bag full of empty water bottles, granola bar wrappers, and a toothbrush. Someone had been living up here, but the attic had no exterior entrance, no windows. The only way in or out was the hatch in my hallway. That meant if someone had been staying up there, they'd been coming down, into my house while I slept. I nearly vomited. I called the police. They came, did a sweep, found nothing. Probably a squatter, they said. Maybe left when they knew you were getting suspicious. They told me to change my locks, install a camera, and let them know if I noticed anything else. I did all that. Motion cameras at every entrance, locks, even a motion sensor in the hallway pointed at the attic door. I slept easier for a couple of nights until I checked the footage. There was nothing, except that on 3 different nights the attic hatch was open just slightly in the morning. The camera didn't catch it opening, it just was. Then the motion sensor in the hallway went off. At 1:32 a.m., I was awake when the notification hit my phone. I stared at the live feed. Nothing there. Then the camera glitched for a full second. When it came back, the hatch was closed again. That was the night I heard 2 sets of footsteps. Not 1, 2. Both slow, both pacing, one heavier than the other. A syncopated rhythm above me like a slow shuffling waltz. I grabbed a knife and a flashlight, climbed into the attic again. Everything looked the same until I shined the light into the far corner. Past the mattress, past the pile of wrappers. There were 2 beds now, 2 separate sleeping bags, and a 3rd toothbrush. The smell hit me then. Musty, sour sweat mixed with something older. Something rotting. There were scratch marks on the beams, lines etched deep into the wood. Some were names, some were dates, and some were just lines, hundreds of them, like someone was counting days. I stumbled back, dropped my flashlight, and when I picked it up, someone hissed at me. Actually hissed. A wet, animal-like sound that came from the shadows just behind the rafters. I didn't see them, just heard the scuttle of limbs against wood. Something crawling backward, fast. I jumped down, slammed the hatch, and pushed a chair under it. I didn't sleep that night. The police came again, nothing. No one in the attic, no fingerprints. They said maybe I had a rodent problem. But rodents don't sleep in sleeping bags. Rodents don't leave behind toothbrushes, so I did something insane. I left, I got in my car and drove to a friend's house, slept on the couch, came back 2 days later with a ladder and bolted the attic hatch shut from the hallway. Then I set up a hidden camera inside the attic. Battery-powered, no Wi-Fi, just a basic night vision cam pointed at the sleeping area. I left it up there for one night, and when I retrieved it the next day and reviewed the footage, I saw them, 2 people. Not faces, just shapes, one tall, thin, the other shorter, hunched. They crawled from the shadows after 1:30, moved to the mattresses, sat in silence, didn't talk, didn't move much, just stared at the hatch like they were listening to what I was doing below. Then the tall one stood up, moved to the camera, got so close the lens fogged over, and whispered something. "You never lock the basement. I don't have a basement, or so I thought." Until I remembered, when I moved in, there was a trap door in the laundry room floor. I'd opened it once, just a crawl space, nothing down there. But that day, after hearing that voice, I opened it again. There were stairs now, wooden, rotted, leading somewhere deeper, and something was still moving down there. I stared at the open trap door in the laundry room, the wooden steps now leading somewhere they hadn't led before. That was 2 days ago, and I haven't gone down, not yet, but I haven't slept either, because ever since I watched that attic footage and heard that whisper, "You never lock the basement," I've heard the sounds, not from above this time, from below, soft knocking, sometimes scratching, but always after midnight, always when I'm trying to convince myself this is all just some weird prank, or that I'm finally going insane. But it's not a prank, and I don't think I'm crazy anymore. Because last night, the knocks became voices. They were quiet at first, like whispers rising through the floorboards. But then they grew louder, and they were chanting. I couldn't make out the words, not clearly, but it wasn't random. It was a pattern, repeated phrases, spoken in hushed, dry, strained voices that sounded like they came from cracked throats and broken lungs. And then something said my name, not whispered, spat like a curse. I don't know how they know my name. I locked myself in the bedroom after that. Sat with my back against the door, gripping a kitchen knife like it would matter. The voices stopped just before sunrise. That morning, I opened the trap door again, half hoping it would be gone, that the stairs would be nothing but a memory. They weren't. They were still there, still rotted, still wet with some kind of moisture that reeked of mildew and iron. I pointed my flashlight down. The steps led to a concrete hallway. That hallway had never existed. No foundation plans mentioned it. No realtor, no neighbor, not even the old owner when I tracked her down on Facebook and asked her directly. She blocked me. That was yesterday. Today, I decided to go down. I don't know why. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's because not knowing is worse than knowing. Maybe because I have nothing else left. So I put on hiking boots, strapped on my brightest flashlight, grabbed my phone, a knife, and a bottle of water. Then I went down. The air changed halfway down the steps. It went cold, not damp, but deathly still, like the air in a tomb. The light barely penetrated the bottom. When I stepped off the final stair, my boots hit wet stone. I was underground. The hallway wasn't made of house materials, it was ancient. Chisel marks in the stone, symbols carved into the walls, not letters, more like runes. Some had been scratched out violently. The further I walked, the more the silence pressed in, until I heard something ahead, a dragging sound, then something breathing, not fast, not human, wet. I turned off my flashlight and held my breath. The breathing came closer, and then I saw it, a figure, crawling, not on hands and knees, but flat on its belly, dragging itself like it had no bones, just skin and muscle stretched wrong. Its face, number. It wasn't a face. It was like someone had taken one, then pressed it like clay against a wall, distorted it, pulled the features out too far, too low, too many eyes, or not enough. It didn't make sense. I turned and ran, but the hallway didn't end. It kept stretching. Every time I looked back, the figure was still behind me, not crawling fast, but always the same distance away. I ran until I hit a door, a black iron door in the middle of stone. I threw it open and slammed it shut behind me. Total darkness swallowed me, and then I heard the attic hatch slam shut above me. Because I'm not in the hallway anymore. I'm in a room, small, stone, wet, sealed, and it smells like old skin. There's no door back, no stairs, just a trapdoor in the ceiling too far to reach. But I'm not alone here. There are others in the dark. I can hear them, breathing in time with each other, and they're whispering again. Only now they're laughing, and one voice, one very close to my ear, just said, "You made it home."
Thank you for joining me tonight on this eerie journey into the unknown. If these stories have left you with a chill down your spine, don't forget to like and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. This really means a lot to me and helps to keep me on YouTube. And remember, there's always more lurking just around the corner. If you've ever experienced something strange, something unexplainable, feel free to share your own story in the comments below. You never know who else might be listening or watching. Until next time, keep your lights low, your doors locked, and your curiosity never at ease. Because at Story After Midnight, the darkness never rests, and neither do we.